Zhibaj, and today I will be talking about the intersection of gender and urban mobility and the work that we at GIZ are doing to improve that context in Tirana at the current phase and also Albania, more municipalities at the next phase. For a basic overview, we'll begin by covering the context, understanding what the data is and what we know now about bus passengers and also cyclists, and then how we work with the municipality of Tirana and a few key initiatives. When we think about mobility and when we think about the way that most urban planning has happened so far, the main profile that they have in mind, or the main user that they usually have in mind, is the car driver who is a middle-aged man. And through our work, we are trying to put in the focus other profiles that are not perhaps as able-bodied and other profiles that have also different patterns of movement in the city. For now, we know that, for example, there are gender differences to the way that we navigate the city. And it begins by answering the questions, well, how do women move in Tirana? And what are some initiatives that can spark change towards that and to improve equity to that extent? First, from the first ticketing surveys, we found that over 60% of passengers in Tirana were women, which meant that they mostly used the buses to go to school, to universities, and also access work. And all of that meant that if we do investments in public transport, we will also greatly improve the access that women have to the labor force. And when we look at cycling, the situation turns at its head because a very, very small percentage of the population is currently cycling. Only 20% of women are cycling, and more than half of them say that they usually do not cycle because they don't feel safe, and a quarter of them do not cycle because they do not have experience. So a lot of girls and women in Tirana and in Albania in general have probably never learned how to ride a bike. I myself learned how to ride a bike when I was 23, which is very, very late, and later than I would have wanted. But in a bit, we will tell you how we are working to improve that. But first, for now, we will talk about how we work with the municipality of Tirana, and this specifically begins with gathering gender disaggregated data on mobility, so ticketing surveys, customer feedback portal, walkability app, and cycling counters specifically. And all of this data is separated by gender, and all of it allows us to better understand the mobility needs for all gender groups. Then we go into capacity building, so trainings, workshops, study tours, etc., to try to turn this data into actionable information, into something that can be used to spark more initiatives. We introduce management reports, which we then discuss and approve within the municipality of Tirana. This is one of our proudest achievements. We have a few members of the team at the audience here today with us, so I would kindly invite you and encourage you to ask questions to them about this amazing project. But this is the first customer feedback portal that is gender responsive. You might have seen, if you have used the buses, you might have seen those posters, and currently the customer feedback portal has a lot of, first it's gender desegregated, of course, as most of our data is, but also it has a lot of relevant categories on safety and security concerns, infrastructure, and bus service level. This is the first look at the results. Only 44% of the users are women, or only 44% of the reports are coming from women, but the primary concern is something that we already suspected, or what we see so far, frequency and capacity. So it has to do with how full the buses are. Then we have done other assessments with walkability app, which we have also supported in translating into Albanian to understand, well, when we are walking, how do we experience a level of design and how do we experience a level of the street? And what we've seen so far is that the Elements that affected are, of course, the presence of lighting, the presence of people, and the presence of men. And a few of the projects that we have supported are the school streets and the cycling schools that are coming up. The school streets, we have supported the municipality and a local NGO, Tirana and Albania, in designing and implementing child-friendly traffic calming measures around the city. And you might have seen some of these. If not, reach out to us after this, during the lunch or after this presentation, and we can show you where they are. So far, 7 of them have been implemented. The impact is big, 13,000 children directly, and over 50,000 of the residents of the neighborhoods have been affected by these interventions. And what's important is that what is gender-specific about it is that the primary caretakers are women, and to really improve the quality of the urban space around the schools means to improve the quality of spaces that they usually inhabit or occupy, but also to make it stress-free, to make it easier to bond with the child and to make it easier to play and rest and to spend time around the school. And for the final initiative, it's the Cycling Academy. There are 2 of them. I wish I had those when I was a child, so maybe then I wouldn't have learned how to cycle when I was 23. Our team has supported them through not just the design of the school itself, but also the training of the trainers. One of them is very close nearby at the stadium, and the other one is at the park. Pictured here is the one at the park. And it's been a very successful initiative in just sparking a change from this generation that will come up and will really spark more and more initiatives and more gender equity. And with that, I would like to thank you for listening to my presentation. Again, I would like to extend you and encourage you to reach out to my team who are now dispersed through the room. But it's been an amazing and phenomenal work, and I'm glad to be a part of it and to be part of this panel. Thank you.